So, the race begins. I've probably put a lot in here because I really want to try and serve you, and I hope it doesn't just sound like philosophy since we can't do the interaction at the same level, although I hope you'll participate with me a bit. The bottom line of why I'm here is that I'm really in a position, I'm not here to motivate you, obviously, you don't need that. And a lot of times that's what people think I do, and it's the furthest thing from it. What happens though is people say to me, well, I don't need any motivation. And I say, well, that's interesting, that's not what I do. I'm the why guy. I don't know why you do what you do. What is your motive for action? What is it that drives you in your life today, not 10 years ago, or are you running the same pattern? Because I believe that the invisible force of internal drive activated is the most important thing in the world. I'm here because I believe emotion is the force of life. All of us here have great minds. You know, most of us here have great minds, right? I don't know if I'm in the category, but we all know how to think. And with our minds, we can rationalize anything, we can make anything happen. We can, I agree with what was described a few days ago about this idea that people work in their self-interest, but we all know that you don't work in your self-interest all the time. Because when emotion comes into it, the wiring changes in the way it functions. And so it's wonderful for us to think intellectually about how the life of the world is, and especially those who are very smart. We can play this game in our head, but I really want to know what's driving you. And what I'd like to maybe invite you to do by the end of this talk is explore where you are today for two reasons. One, so that you can contribute more. And two, so that hopefully we can not just understand other people more, but maybe appreciate them more and create the kinds of connections that can stop some of the challenges that we face in our society today. They're only going to get magnified by the very technology that's connecting us, because it's making us intersect. And that intersection doesn't always create the view of everybody now understands everybody and everybody appreciates everybody. So I've had an obsession basically for 30 years. And that obsession has been what makes the difference in the quality of people's lives? What makes a difference in their performance? Because that's what I got hired to do. I got to produce the result now. That's what I've done for 30 years. I get the phone call when the athlete is burning down on national television and they were ahead by 5 strokes and now they can't get back on the course. And I got to do something right now to get the result or nothing matters. I get the phone call when the child is going to commit suicide and I got to do something right now. And in 29 years, I'm very grateful to tell you I've never lost one in 29 years. It doesn't mean I won't someday, but I haven't done it. And the reason is an understanding of these human needs that I want to talk to you about. So when I get those calls about performance, that's one thing, like how do you make a change? But also I'm looking to see what is it that's shaping that person's ability to contribute, to do something beyond themselves. So maybe the real question is, you know, I look at life and say there's 2 master lessons. One is there's the science of achievement, which almost everyone in this room has mastered to an amazing extent. That's how do you take the invisible and make it visible, right? How do you take what you dream about and make it happen, whether it be your business, your contribution to society, money, whatever it is for you, your body, your family. But the other lesson of life that is rarely mastered is the art of fulfillment. Because science is easy, right? We know the rules, you write the code, you follow those, and you get the result. Once you know the game, you just, you know, you up the ante, don't you? But when it comes to fulfillment, that's an art. And the reason is it's about appreciation and it's about contribution. You can only feel so much by yourself. So I've had an interesting laboratory to try to answer the question of the real question, which is what's the difference in somebody's life if you look at somebody like those people that you've given everything to, like all the resources they say they need. You gave them not a $100 computer, you gave them the best computer. You gave them love, you gave them joy, you were there to comfort them. And those people very often, and you know some of them I'm sure, end up the rest of their life with all this love, education, money, and background, spending their life going in and out of rehab. And then you meet people that have been through ultimate pain, psychologically, sexually, spiritually, emotionally abused, and not always, but often they become some of the people that contribute the most to society.
There is no one who doesn't have obstacles in their life. You know, even Bill Gates has obstacles. He's got to figure out how to keep all that money. So, you know, everybody's got problems. And it really is how you face those problems. If you allow it to be an insurmountable wall, then you become the victim. And if you say, this is a piece of cake, I'm finding my way over, under, around, or through this obstacle, one way or another. And you gear yourself to solutions. And that's always the answer. Always be thinking about how I can do something rather than why I can't do something.
Some people have got a negative blood group. It's just the way some people are. They wear negativity like an old comfortable coat. It just seems to fit them really well. So they're the kind of people that even if they won the lottery would say, just my luck, it wasn't the rollover week. You know, and their mantra for life, never forget, every silver lining has a black cloud. But I want us to be careful of these people, because sometimes I think we need to challenge them, because sometimes I think they're unaware of how their negativity and their misery can impact those around them. Maybe you could even use humour to diffuse the situation. How long have you been a motivational speaker then? But I think we need to be careful that although people might be miserable by nature, let's just be prepared to challenge that and sometimes use humour to diffuse the situation.
The second thing that the ego teaches us is that who I am is not only what I have, but who I am is what I do, what I accomplish. And so we spend a big hunk of our lives believing that the way that we become, quote, successful, happy, fulfilled, self-actualized, whatever it might be, is on the basis of what I accomplish, what my resume looks like, how many promotions I get. And so we send our children off to school and we ask them to learn to identify themselves on how much they get and what they accomplish. Your grades become more important than what it is that you are studying. What you own, what clothes you wear, what labels you have, and so on. And we become obsessed with this kind of absurdity. And this is the false self at work.
First and foremost, you need something bigger than you to be inspired about. I think we're all born with a deep and meaningful purpose that we have to discover. Your purpose in life is not something you need to make up, it's already there. You just need to discover it. That means to take the cover off of what's already there. And when you do, when you really discover what you're meant to do, it will be the reason you get up in the morning. Prior to discovering your life purpose, it's easy to become sidetracked or feel uninspired or feel like you've accomplished very little in life. But what if these feelings are simply feedback that you need to keep going, keep searching until you discover? And what if it's the universe reminding us not to settle for mediocrity, to continue experimenting for the one thing that lights you up? I also believe we're all born with a set of talents and interests that tell us what we're supposed to be doing. Lots of times they come so naturally to us, we overlook them. We think finding our purpose is supposed to be more profound or difficult, but what if it's right in front of you the whole time? Think about it. Have you ever wanted to study something that you loved, but the more logical route was to do what your parents or teachers or friends thought you should do? Well, maybe you wanted to be a potter or a musician or an artist, but ended up in business school because it was logical or sensible. If so, you're not alone, you're just off track. Maybe you really are meant to be a potter.
When I was in South Africa on a safari, I was blessed to be on a safari after I had taught for a group of black billionaires a seminar about faith and finances. And they detained me over and gave me the privilege of staying out at J. Paul Getty's place out there in the middle of the jungle somewhere, and to go on a safari with my son. It was amazing. So there I am in between a zoologist who is giving me all of this information about all the animals, their habitats, their mating practices, how they live, how they operate, and sitting on the edge of the Jeep with a shotgun to protect us. We weren't hunting, we were just watching, was a Zulu. The Zulu says nothing at all. The zoologist explains all the animals, and we visit all the different places and see a lot of the animals, but we had not found the elephant. He explained the elephant, but he could not find him. Finally, the Zulu stood up and he put his finger in the air and he pointed up. He said, "The elephant is over there." When he said it to me, my head exploded, Larry. It exploded because all of a sudden I realized I'm sitting between intellect and instinct. Intellect can describe it, but only instinct can find it. And from the premise of that ideology, I begin to go back through all of my life and begin to see not only me, but others, how if they position themselves between intellect and instinct and know when to yield to which one, that next big thing, whether it's an elephant, an entrepreneurial pursuit, or raising a family, it is simply over there if you follow your instincts.
We all like to think that we really do flow, that we kind of move easy and we are easy and people look at us and it's just kind of soothing to their soul to have us around. But to be honest with you, many times we don't flow, and when we don't, it's because a surprise or something that we didn't like, and sometimes my flow doesn't go. It just kind of stops right where it is because there's something happening that that's not easy for me to move with. My father, when I was young, said, John, it's not what happens to you that counts, it's what happens in you. You're going to have a lot of things happen to you that aren't good, but if your attitude and spirit is right, you can keep going, you can keep flowing. So when we stop that flow in our life, it's almost always because something rubbed us the wrong way, something surprised us. We don't like what happened. I would just encourage you to remember my dad's advice. It's not what happens to you, it's what happens in you. The moment that you choose to do the right thing on the inside, guess what? You begin to flow.